primary research, secondary research, literature-based dissertation, desk-based dissertation. But wait a minute, isn't a desk-based dissertation the same as secondary research? Isn't a literature-based dissertation actually a secondary research project? I know, it's confusing, isn't it? But don't worry, keep watching, because in this video, I'm going to explain the three main types of social science dissertation and some of the pros and cons of each of them. By the end of this video, you will know what these three types are, and you'll be thinking about which one you might consider for your dissertation. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I have 20 years experience of supervising dissertation students. I've supported social science students through dissertations at undergrad, postgrad, and doctoral level. And most of those students have at some point been a bit confused about the different types of dissertation that exist. Being really clear about the three types of dissertation from the outset and what type of dissertation you are doing is super important, because it's going to save you a lot of time and avoid a lot of anxiety and confusion. In this video, I'll be covering the three types of social science dissertation: the primary research dissertation, the secondary research dissertation, and the literature-based dissertation. And I will end this video with a quick word about the term desk-based dissertation and why in the 21st century it's a meaningless term that we should just chuck in the bin. First up, the primary research dissertation. This type of dissertation is when you collect your own data and analyse your own data. You are the primary collector of the data, you are the primary analyst of the data. For example, you might be interested in young people's experiences of using social media to find graduate employment. So you might develop an online questionnaire and invite people to complete that. When you've got all of your completed questionnaires, you then do your own analysis of your data using whatever technique is your jam. Descriptive statistics, analytical statistics, qualitative thematic analysis. You take your pick. Alternatively, you might go into an online forum where young people are discussing their experiences of finding graduate employment. You might collect data from that forum by taking a sample of the posts in there. Then you might analyse that data by doing a content analysis of the posts. The two key things to remember about primary research dissertations are: number one, you collect your own data. Number two, you analyse your own data. There are various advantages to a primary research-based dissertation. You are 100% in control of what you collect and analyse data on. You set the questions, you decide how you're going to analyse the data. A primary research dissertation can be a really good warm-up for further study if you're thinking about doing a master's or a PhD. It can also be really helpful if you're going into a profession where you need to do research-style projects to find out what your clients or customers want or need, or what they thought about your product or service. By doing a primary research project yourself, you get some really valuable insights into the research process, which you won't get from just reading about it. You roll up your sleeves, you get your hands dirty, you get to experience how research works on the ground. And from those experiences, you will grow as a person. Now, some of the downsides of this kind of dissertation. You are dependent on other people doing things, responding to your questionnaire, turning up for an interview, giving permission to research in their online space, negotiating access to participants. And you know what? Sometimes people don't always do what they say they're going to do. So if you're doing this kind of dissertation, you need a plan B and probably a plan C as well. In addition, you'll need to stick to a fairly rigid timetable for this kind of dissertation. You'll need to get ethical approval by a particular date. You'll need to collect your data by a particular date. So it does bring with it specific time pressures. You might wake up in a sweat at 3 a.m. because only 4 people have completed your survey. And you are liable to have nightmares about your questionnaire chasing you down the street. That actually happened to a lovely lady that I knew when I was doing my PhD. She's fine now, but that was a dark time for her. Next up, the secondary research dissertation. In a secondary research dissertation, you do not collect your own data. Instead, you use data that has been collected by another researcher. You take that data and you do your own analysis of it. For example, you might be interested in exploring differences in beliefs and values around diversity in different European countries. You might go and check out the European Social Survey and download some data to use for your own research. The link to the European Social Survey and a few other large datasets suitable for secondary analysis are provided in the description. You're welcome. Now, there are various advantages to doing a secondary research dissertation. Most obviously, the fact you don't have to go and collect your own data. Yay! That saves you time and effort. Also, you can potentially shed new light on that data by asking different questions of it or looking at it in a different way. So you are helping to ensure that data someone else has collected is maximised in terms of its social value. Because full disclosure, a lot of data that researchers collect ends up never being analysed. So you are doing your discipline a favour in this way. In addition, you have a bit more flexibility in terms of your research timetable than in a primary research dissertation, because the milestones and the deadlines around data collection don't really exist in the same way. You've already got the data. So yeah, you might have to sort through it and get the bits that you need, but you haven't got to wait for it to come in because it's right there. There are, however, a few shortfalls to a secondary research dissertation. You haven't collected the data, so you just have to work with what you've got. As such, you're going to be limited in your choice of dissertation topic. You may find yourself having to shift your research questions around a little bit to fit the data that's available to you. So you don't get to do the exact dissertation that you wanted to. You end up looking at something slightly different from what you planned. You also don't get the hands-on experience of collecting the data yourself, which can be a great opportunity to develop your skills as a researcher. If you're finding this video helpful and things are a bit clearer now, hit that like button because it really does make a huge difference in ensuring that other people can find it too. The third type of dissertation is the literature-based dissertation. In a literature-based dissertation, your entire dissertation is a literature review. It is a big, bad, pumped, supercharged literature review. You take your research question and do a thorough, critical, strategic review of the literature around that question. Your original contribution to knowledge, or where you will fill the gap with a dissertation like this, is in the new insights that you will generate as a result of your critical synthesis of the existing literature around your topic. Doing a literature-based dissertation is a bit like making a lovely piece of crochet. You draw together strands of the existing literature, some of which may never have been connected before. You crochet them all together to create new, innovative insights into your topic. It's likely that no one has ever approached the literature with your questions before, seeking answers in relation to the specific things that you're looking at. So you will produce a unique contribution to knowledge in your dissertation. There are a couple of things about the structure of a literature-based dissertation that differ from primary and secondary research dissertations. Let's take a look at them side by side. Here is a research-based dissertation, which may be primary or secondary. And here is a literature-based dissertation. Thing number one that you need to notice is that literature-based dissertations don't have a chapter called the literature review, because the entire thing is a literature review. It doesn't make any sense to have a literature review chapter inside a literature-based dissertation. Instead, you have a series of themed chapters, normally between 3 and 5, each critically examining a specific area of the literature. You draw all of those chapters together to answer your research question, to provide those new insights into your topic. For example, you might want to do a dissertation about the development of feminist thought in the early 21st century. Interesting topic, I'd be well up for that. So your themed chapters might look like this. One chapter might explore what feminist thought actually is and where it comes from. Another chapter might explore the context of the 21st century and the specific challenges that the feminist movement is concerned with addressing. A third chapter might identify the landscape of feminist thought right now. What does that look like? A fourth chapter might explore the ways in which feminist thought has influenced particular policies or practices. A fifth might consider the future of feminist thought and where it's headed from here. The second thing you need to bear in mind about the structure of a literature-based dissertation is that they don't have a separate methodology chapter. Instead, your introduction chapter will include a section in which you provide an overview of your approach to your dissertation, explaining your strategy for finding and critically reviewing the literature. So what are some of the advantages of a literature-based dissertation? Well, one is that you avoid the logistical issues associated with primary research-based dissertations. You aren't dealing with people, you are dealing with literature, and the only person you need to rely on is yourself and maybe your friendly librarian who will help you out with things like interlibrary loans. Another plus is that it opens up a wider range of topics for you than primary or secondary research dissertations. This is really great if you want to do your dissertation on a topic that you are never going to get ethical approval for. If you're interested in the childhoods of serial killers, you are never going to get ethical approval to go interview a serial killer or send them a questionnaire. Not happening. A literature-based dissertation can be a good alternative if you want to do research exploring the experiences of a vulnerable group of people, like children, like victims of violent crime, like people with learning difficulties. University ethics committees and institutional review boards are becoming incredibly risk averse, and they're probably not going to let you anywhere near the people you're interested in doing research with. But they aren't stopping you from going to the library yet. So think about a literature-based dissertation if any of those things apply to you. It also provides you with much more time flexibility than a primary or secondary research-based dissertation. Those deadlines around ethical approval, accessing data, analysing data, they don't apply to literature-based dissertations. Now for some of the shortfalls of literature-based dissertations. Some disciplines tend to think that they're not as good as research-based dissertations because the capacity to do an independent research project is a big part of your professional identity in that discipline. I would probably chuck psychology in that bucket. Sociology and criminology, probably not so much so. Also, I would add to that debate, and some people might consider what I'm about to say slightly controversial. I personally believe that intellectually, literature-based dissertations are probably the hardest type of dissertation to do, because weaving together strands of the literature to provide an answer to your question can get super complex. There will be gaps in the literature. You will have to get really creative and perhaps start looking outside of your own discipline for answers. Often with a literature-based dissertation, you are blazing your own trail here. You are building your own pathway through the literature. Like I said earlier, this is likely the first time that anyone has approached the literature asking the questions that you're asking. And you've got to figure out what the answers are and how they all fit together. Literature-based dissertations are certainly not the easy option, even though some people might tell you that they are. And those people have probably never done a literature-based dissertation. Now, if the tips I've shared so far are going to help you make progress and push the needle forward, take a moment to hit that subscribe button because I have a lot more videos just like this one on the way. Lastly, I want to say a few words about the term desk-based dissertation. Now, back in the dark ages of the 20th century, the term desk-based dissertation was another name for the literature-based dissertation. That was because you did it from your desk or a desk in the library. That distinguished it from primary and secondary research-based studies because you had to physically get up from your desk, off your bum, to do those kinds of research. You had to go out to interview your participants in person, face to face. You had to go out and post your questionnaires or drop them off at locations where people could pick them up and complete them. You had to go out and put posters up about your research on notice boards. If you were doing secondary research, you had to go to the actual place that held the datasets. That might have been another university in a town or a city many miles away from you. However, due to the wonders of technology, you can do primary and secondary research dissertations sitting on your bottom at your desk now, if you so wish. Interviews can be done via Zoom. Questionnaires can be shared through Facebook. You can go online right now and access a wealth of large data sets without even having to leave your home or office. So every type of dissertation can be a desk-based dissertation now, as long as that desk has a computer on it and as long as that computer is connected to the internet. So the term desk-based dissertation is kind of meaningless now, and it just confuses people. So can we all just agree to chuck it in the bin? There it goes. Bye. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found it helpful and you are a little bit clearer now on the differences between those different types of social science dissertation. If you would like more dissertation advice and tips on topics just like this and all of these, become a Degree Doctor Insider and go and sign up for my email list. And if you sign up for my email list right now, you are going to get these lovely freebies that are going to be super helpful in keeping your dissertation on track. The link is in the description. I will be back here very soon with more dissertation tips.